In one of my last videos, I showed you guys this large homemade skid steer bucket and how we used it to unload loose aluminum cans out of a big rig trailer. So I thought I'd give you a closer look at that, and then I'd show you another process that we made in-house to make processing aluminum cans a little bit easier. So you can see this bucket we have on the skid steer looks way too big for this machine, and that's because it probably is if we were doing anything other than just loading or unloading aluminum cans with it. But you can see we just took a regular skid steer bucket and extended the bottom, the sides, and the back. That way it just still hooks on the skid steer like normal, but now we can scoop a lot more cans with it than just a regular standard bucket. And you might be wondering, why don't we just use a bigger machine that already has a bigger bucket like our big wheel loader? And that's because we actually drive this skid steer up into the van trailers, and those machines are far too heavy and far too large to fit in the trailers. So that bucket's what we use to unload cans that have already been run through a magnet separating belt and we know are 100% clean. That way they're ready to be baled. But when we receive cans that are loose, that haven't been sorted and separated, we dump them in this bay and then run them through our own magnet belt separator. So it's kind of hard to tell because there's cans on top of it, but you can see these metal sides here act like a big hopper, and we take the skid steer and load the cans up on top of this, and they fall down into the smaller part of the hopper and go up this conveyor belt, which has a magnet separator, and pulls out any of the steel cans and drops them into these bins. And when we run these cans, we have two people that are picking. One guy stands on that platform and makes sure nothing crazy falls down into the hopper. And then a second person stands at the end of the discharge and watches what falls onto the conveyor belt to make sure there's no foreign contaminants. And then this is the other side of the bay where we dump the loose cans out of the truck, and then the skid steer operator or the loader operator pushes the cans up and dumps them into the hopper so they can go across the mag belt. We also have these chain link cages put up around the bay. That way if we have any gusts of wind, the cans don't go blowing everywhere. And then also when they push up with the Bobcat, they don't fall over the edge of the wall and we have to clean them up more than once. It may not look like much, but this process has made us a lot more efficient when handling these large loads of loose aluminum cans. We used to rake them on the conveyor belt by hand and pick out the trash, but this just shows how awesome our yard manager and our yard crew are. This entire process was thought of, designed, installed, and implemented by them.